not it is not an encyclopedia to read. It is merely less than 50-page document, 40-page document for you to read and acquaint yourself. And what are these things? Remember, we talked last time. Thank God, the last 2 classes we had, we would have learned what it means, what the Data Protection Act means. It simply means the protection of natural persons. So now you want to become a data privacy champion in your organization, you have to familiarize yourself with that act. What does it say? And the act is, like I said, a readable act. First of all, it has to do with natural person. It has to do with their privacy. It has to do with their information that they supplied, which is mainly digital, which is because every business now is going digital. Now, you have to equally know what are the roles your organization is supposed to play to enforce that right. What are the roles the individual are supposed to play to ensure that their own privacy is protected. So you have to have that basics in your hand. It has to do with studying the act and having it at the tip of your finger. That is 1. 2, you now know the strategic direction of your business or of your employer. For instance, with the strategic direction of an employer, you will know whether they intend to acquire more customers, more patients. If you are a hospital, they intend to attract more customers to themselves in terms of human persons. If this is the case, that means there will be more exposure for this business, for your company. So this one now, you have to project yourself as one person who is interested. That is after you have studied what the act says. You now project yourself in the company, particularly in the compliance, audit, or in information security perspective. It is not marketing thing. In fact, data privacy and marketing go at loggerheads. They are usually two-way traffic. This one is going this way, the other one. So it is the privacy and compliance role that will advise and ensure that this act is implemented to its fullest. So like I said, 2 things to take away here. Number 1, you have to study the act, know what it says, know the provision. If you were in our last 2 classes, or you request access from Umar for that video, ask what those rights are. There are about 7 of them when it has to do with right of an individual. When you know those things, you now project yourself as someone who wants to be a data privacy champion. Now, I just had an outing, a very large outing of a ISMS standard or ISO standard, about 2 or 3 standards. Now, you discover that I am selected as a champion for my own department. Because your company complies, chooses to do business and comply with Data Privacy Act, they have to, by implication or by law, adopt the place of a privacy champion. So if you have known the act and you have known the provisions of the act, you can stand in there and say, I am ready for this job. In fact, I had an NGO, a foreign NGO, they are coming into Nigeria newly. They were advertising for data protection officer. And I went to study about this NGO. And I discovered that they were actually into a privacy related infraction some months ago. And suddenly they now need it by all means. And it's a very senior level requirement. And I was asking, I wish there were people in this our meeting who were there the last time. They would have said, they would have indicated interest by virtue of what they have learned. Thank you. Okay. For the second one, I hope I've answered the first one. But for the second one, that is a very critical question. And that is usually the aim of our gathering, like Umar has made us understand. It is basically about transition. What are the career and business opportunities in this act? It's a 40-page act, but what are the opportunities in it? So how do I become a DPCO? Umar said he's an auditor. He has an audit firm. I want to read from the book here so that we don't crack our brain. The requirements for being a DPCO. So simply put, there are about 8 or thereabouts requirements. In fact, I have the form downloaded here. If you are interested, you can fill the form and submit to NITA. But let me give you the breakdown of the requirements. Number 1, there must be a comprehensive company profile, including the structure of the organization, the resume of key managerial staff and technical staff with addresses, phone number. Number two, you must have your CSC documents, evidence of incorporation. Of course, if you have your evidence of incorporation, you would have had articles of association and all those basic requirements. Then you must have your evidence of tax clearance. Relevant CV of principal officers. These people don't need to be board members. They don't need to be registered members of the company with the CSC. So if you have a curriculum, for instance, even if you don't have and you are indeed an audit firm of repute or of lengthy stay in the audit profession, you can just co-opt somebody into an IT background or information security background and co-opt that person into your field, and that person becomes a member of your team. That also qualifies you. Then you must file an affidavit stating that your company is not bankrupt. You must file an affidavit stating that the claim made and information provided are true and correct. You must affirm that no director or partner of the company, past or present, has ever been convicted of criminal offense. Why I'm reading this from the book is that you will know that there is nothing difficult. There is not, so you can wake up tomorrow now, go to NITA website, download the form, fill it, and submit. Because I believe a lot of us here are already into this. I'll have all this already. Number 6, you must have valid means of identification, NIN, driver license, and all that. Number 7, sample contract agreement or service level agreement. You must create an SLA that you want to reach with NITA, with Nigerian Data Protection Commission. Then you must have a comprehensive customer service policy. You must have a payment of subscribed licensing fee, subscribed licensing fee, which is around 50,000 naira. It is not 500,000, it is 50,000. The last time I checked, that is when it was with NIDA. But now that it has transitioned, I wouldn't know whether that has been changed. But then 50,000 naira was the last time I know. Then you must have a functional website, which is domained on .ng. Your website must end on .ng for you to be able to practice as a data privacy compliance organization. DPCO simply means Data Privacy Compliance Organization. Okay. Another thing again I want to quickly point out before, so that we won't take much time, is I've already read out evidence of professional and academic certification that Umar asked. A data scientist can function as a DPCO. Data protection and privacy, you have a qualification in that. You have qualification in information privacy, information audit, which is my own field, data management, information security, protection, legal services, information technology due diligence. You have the GDPR. GDPR has to do with the UK. Then you have qualification in any cybersecurity or cybersecurity law or data analytics, and then data governance. So any of these you can function. Now ask me, what about the accountant? Like I mentioned before, if you are an auditor as an accountant, or if you have an audit firm as an accountant, you automatically qualify. It's just for you to beef up your team to have some flesh of information technology professionals. What can a DPCO do, you may ask? DPCO, data protection regulation, they can function as a data protection regulation compliance and breach service data controllers and data administrators. For instance, there is a breach in a company. You can call a DPCO to carry out a review of what has happened. DPCO is allowed to carry out that service. Data protection and advisory services, they can advise you just like an auditor, an audit firm. KPMG can provide you consultancy service while PwC becomes your external auditor. So in that case, KPMG is now your consultant in terms of data privacy. I've participated with a KPMG in one of the data privacy consultancy job that they did with NNPC. So data protection training and awareness services, they can do that as well. If you want awareness for your company, a DPCO is allowed to do that. Data regulation contract drafting, they can draft out a contract for you. data protection and privacy breach remediation. For instance, you have been breached. Like I mentioned to us the last time we had meeting, try to attend, open the website of my HMO. I discovered that they were hacked. Data were moved. Nothing happened. The website was not going. So they can actually call up a DPCO to carry out a breach remediation, to advise them on how to remedy a breach, whether to pay ransom, whether to abandon the server, whether to do anyhow, whatever they want to do. A DPCO can advise that. And now that ETC, information privacy audits, they can help you to do that. Data privacy breach impact assessment, we've talked about that. Data protection and privacy due diligence investigation. Then they can serve as your DPO, data protection officer. Like asking, how can I be a DPO in my organization? And actually outsource that function to a DPCO. You can outsource that function to a DPCO. So that works. I'm actually reading this from Nigerian Data Protection Commission website. So it's a publicly available document. Thank you very much. I know I've taken time to answer this question. Thank you. I hope you are happy, Ms. Alma. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I'm okay. You can go ahead, please, Bolanle.
Okay, thank you very much for those answers. I want to ask two questions, but they are linked. You earlier mentioned about the HMO that their information got hacked or something like that. So I want to find out, have you heard of any interesting story where data protection measures made a big difference for organizations in Nigeria? And if you have, can we hear one or two examples? Then we want to know, can you explain Data Protection Act in Nigeria and how it affects Nigerian businesses and individuals? And what are the main rules and why are they important?
Okay, I would like to break those questions, but can you give me them in points per se?
Okay, so have you heard any interesting story where data protection measures make a big difference for organizations in Nigeria?
Okay, let me take that. Well, okay. Absolutely. There has been that story. Like I mentioned earlier, this HMO, like I mentioned to you, I further made inquiry. In fact, I have some of their things like can anyone hear me?
I wasn't hearing you for some minutes, but I can hear you now.
All right. Sorry, I'm actually streaming with my hotspot. Okay, so I reached out to this HMO and I asked a question. What has been your posture as it has to do with data privacy for now? And I must tell you, any company or any organization that does not take data privacy seriously is only waiting for the day it will be hacked or it will be attacked. And you know, basically what an attacker does is that when they come in, gain access into your core environment, they will steal you. They don't carry your website. They will steal your customer information. The website you see, usually the device is the last part of an attacker's attempts to breach you. The main thing to come for is that digital, that jewel, crown jewel, which is data of an organization, personal data. And when they carry it, you are doomed. So basically what they do is that, or what you as an organization will do is to position yourself in such a way that there is a defense in the mechanism in terms of data protection. Who can have access, including your internal staff. Mind you, there are what we call the insider breach, which has proven to be the very easiest way of cutting away personal information or cutting away data of customers. So that organization, that HMO that I mentioned to you, I just discovered that, first of all, they don't even have a substantive DPO, data protection officer. But if you go to their website, they will tell you for further inquiry, after reading their data, very strong data privacy statement on their website. After reading, they will now tell you for further information, contact our data privacy officer or data protection officer. They put a phone number. All those things are uniform. We know, but the day it will happen, only you will know the impact. Of course, they won't come out to tell you what the impact is. So basically, organizations are taking that very serious. That is why when you go to each website, you will see them displaying it very boldly. The first thing you see on every serious website is privacy statement. Read our privacy policy. If you're not interested, disappear. Because as you are browsing here, we are keeping your data, and you don't have any reason for us not to keep your data except you leave. So just like Umar mentioned to us, continue stay in this meeting equally means that you are consenting. So that is it. Organizations should live up to having that data protection posture and mean it, not just have it, they should mean it by providing adequate mechanism to protect data. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You've actually answered part of the second question. Second question was, can you explain how the Data Protection Act in Nigeria affects businesses and individuals? What are its main rules and why are they important? So if you have any other thing to add, you can say.
Okay, so in addition to that, for instance, we have an e-commerce company here in Nigeria. They invested a lot in data protection measures, secure payment gateway, encryption of customer data, and all that. But they did not adhere, or they did not consent to adopting the NDPR. So these are two things. You can have a good posture in data privacy or data protection, but at the end of the day, you can't lord your own privacy protection policy over Nigerians. So that is why there must be a conscious effort to adhere to data privacy, data protection provisions in Nigeria here. There must be significant preparation to getting that done. So in other words, if we have, for instance, companies who are processing data of customers above 1,000, I think it's above 1,000 now, that the new act has mentioned that any company processing the data of above 1,000 candidates or customers or people, natural persons, you are expected to designate these offices and you are expected to comply. You are expected to comply. So that is just much I will say on that, but I may touch it while we continue in the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Omar, should I continue with the question?
Yeah, I think so. I think we should continue with the question. Except we have somebody that wants to ask on the call. Otherwise, the questions we receive, you can just continue with them.
Okay, thank you.
Or do we have anybody on the call that want to ask a personal question before Bolali continue with the questions that she has? Anybody on the call? Can you just drop the question or just raise your hand with the emoji? Just so you can take a question. Otherwise, Bolali, go ahead, please.
Okay. Okay, so what do you think are the biggest challenges that organizations in Nigeria face when it comes to protecting data? And how do these challenges affect everyday operations?
Okay. Thank you. Number one, that is a very important question. Number one is lack of awareness. Lack of awareness and understanding of the Data Protection Act. I mentioned to you about a company, an e-commerce company here in Nigeria. They are very good. In fact, very sound protection policies in their organization. But then they are not adhering, or they are not allowing themselves to be subject to the Nigerian data protection regulation. So lack of awareness in the part of organization poses a lot of challenge. My company, for instance, is paying hugely, and I believe other companies are equally doing the same, are paying hugely in human capacity development to create awareness for staff. Secondly, you must also pay attention to customers. Why do you think every day banks will always roll out information to you and say, we will not ask you for your PIN, We will not ask you for your credit card details. All those things are measures. So awareness in the part of organization and their staff, and awareness in the part of customer. Where this is missing, it poses a very huge challenge to organizations. Number two is insufficient resources and expertise. If you invest in all these things, which looks like the first one, expertise in the sense that these people who are managing your data, that is why NDP, the commission requests for qualification of your management team, of those handling data protection. So expertise matters. Our takeaway from here might also, if you don't mind, it might also be that you need to go for certification and read courses that are related to data privacy protection. It's not just to read the act. You should also certify yourself in the aspect of data protection. I must tell you now that in Europe, in UK, and in UK precisely, GDPR data compliance officers earn more than any other profession you can think about, because they take this thing so seriously. So expertise and insufficient resources affects organizations. Another one is the rate of technology improvement. Technology is growing wide like fire. Transitions are happening. Businesses are being done beyond the way they have been done before. I was talking to someone, I was discussing with a group of my colleagues about the current breach, or the current case of jam forgery. I was telling somebody, I said, look, anything that has to do with technology, with the improvement we have had in technology, you cannot hide yourself anywhere. So the earlier you move at the pace at which technology is developing, the better for every organization. So the technology advancement, companies that are not able to catch up are usually facing challenge in data protection. You understand? For instance, you have a database that has a server version that is no longer supported. Meanwhile, there are hackers looking for instance, 2012 version of a Linux server, and your organization is still using it. Meanwhile, we are in 2023. There are 2019, 2020, 2023 server. Now you are managing your entire core solution in an outdated server. That is already a recipe for data breach. So one of the challenges there is the technology growth. Another thing again is cyber threats. Cyber threats in the sense that, for instance, before our election last year, there were how do they call it again? There were a lot of rumors about people attacking INEC server. It was real. It was real. And if you saw that data that was read out, you see the attempted attack that happened. Now, assuming that had happened, the entire 90 or 100 million voters in Nigeria, our data would have been carried. Mind you, this data of 90 million people is not in a house. It's not in a way, it's inside just one hard drive or one server. Or once somebody gets unwarranted access to that server, he has carted away with all those things. So those cyber threats, that is why organizations need to live up to managing those threats, like we mentioned. Another thing again is border data. Organizations now do businesses outside Nigeria. I believe most of us work for international organizations. I work for an organization that is having presence in nearly three continents with over 15 countries. This is a cross-border issue, and it has to do with privacy. Your staff data that is being moved from your country to another country, what does the law say? So the enormity of this outing alone, having a cross-border data transfer or transmission or business, is already a huge challenge for companies in managing or in meeting up with the data protection. And then the last one is awareness. Awareness. Where there is poor awareness, particularly for staff, there will be a very low level of compliance with data protection. What you know, for those of us who work in a corporate organization, you would have been taken through a data protection course or a data protection training or whatever. So the awareness cuts across the entire organization. Remember, security, they will always tell you that you are the you. in security. You are the you in security. So every staff, every organization is as protected as the least informed staff when it comes to data protection. I would like to say that again. Every organization is as protected as the least informed staff in the organization, including cleaners. For instance, a cleaner who goes to the organization where they don't observe clear desk policy and picks up the MD's, he was sweeping the MD's office and picks up a very vital information that has to do with strategy of the company and throws it inside trash. And a dumpster diver comes in, all these people that pack trash, and then they come in and see a paper and pick it. That is already an exposure. So awareness cutting across the entire staff strength of the organization is one of the things that will enable the organization to meet up. So that is one of the challenges that organizations are facing now. Very poor data protection awareness for their staff. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Another question here is, are there any specific industries or sectors in Nigeria that need to be especially careful about data protection? Why are they more at risk, and what can they do to minimize the risks?
Okay. Thank you again. For organizations that have processing data of natural persons above 1,000, so you can discover there are reasons for you to collect, because this thing now we're talking about is protection of personal information, personal data. Of course, the chief of them is the banks. The chief of them is the banks. Secondly, we have the health organization and the health organization, which include the hospital and the HMO. The hospitals are the least and very vulnerable sector we have in Nigeria. Very careless sector, I must say. They collect everything from you, including what they didn't need to. But I'm glad that quite a number of hospitals are beginning to key in. Another sector is the NGO. The NGO. So these three organizations put together are those that have to do a lot with customer information or customer data, and they have to pay serious attention to data protection. Another one be e-commerce. Yeah. Somebody comes and plays around Jumia, you have account. Somebody comes around and plays around Konga, you have account. Suddenly they will not start sending you messages. These things need to be taken. They need to be very careful about those things. I'm telling you, if the way these people are attacking us, I will call it attack, because Jumia sends me message every morning. I had to write to them and say, please, I'd like to discontinue from whatever service you have subscribed me to. Of course, I don't know whether they read the mail and stopped, or it was my prayer that worked, but then the mail stopped. So what I'm saying is, these four industries or four organizations, sectors need to pay serious attention to data protection and its provisions. The bank, the health organization, the international or local non-governmental organization, and then the e-commerce. The list of them, you can put the government institutions and all that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, before you continue, just to, something came to my mind when you mentioned the hospitals. Now, before now, if you want to transfer your medical history from one private hospital to another, you will have to pay some money. Now, where is the place of, okay, for example, I'm moving from Abuja to Lagos, and I wish to transfer my medical history from one place to another clinic. Does this act protect me, or would I have to pay to the hospital to get my data? Is my information, my samples over the years, my medical history? Does it cover me getting that information free of charge from the hospital? Thank you.
Absolutely. And I think we can give it a try. It is very, very valid means. A very valid question. For instance, remember the provision in the Act that says data portability. So there is a data, I think it's I will check out the section, but you know me, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't really pay attention to what they say, but there is that data portability. You write to them officially based on the provisions of the NDC and the Nigerian Data Protection Commission Act 2023. I write to request for you to port my data that you have in a readable and legible format to this social person. You're not going to pay a fee. But you know, this is Nigeria. If they request for you to pay, why not? But then you have right available to you. You have that right available to you. But then imagine, I want to put it another way. Imagine that you write and they ignore you. That is to show poor attitude towards data protection. And that is where most of us would have come in. If it is expected that each company is dedicating someone, I mean human, to manage data privacy. That is where most of these complaints and most of these requests will be coming. As soon as they come, they are expected to be treated in the next 72 hours. Or they will reply you on why they are not able to do it, giving you a very reasonable time when they will do it. Let us pick up the copy of this act and go to it. It has a lot of provisions for us. Most of them are untested. I remember the lady that met us that we met with last Sunday. She was talking about this right very eloquently, and I really agree with her. You request for this, and it is your right to receive it. Data portability is one of the provisions of the act. So write to them, give them the address where you want to take it to. Say, please, this is what I want from you. Right, take it. Port my data. It is called data portability. So port my data as you have it to another provider. And they are already hospital and hospital. So it's not between hospital and bank, because they will now be asking what are we going to do with malaria tests and typhoid history and all that. But so if it's between one hospital to the other, you don't need all that. Just port it the way it is here and take it there. That act covers you. It is untested. So for those of us who are interested, you try that out. And me, say if I not send tomorrow, I can even write my former hospital as a right, instead of me going here to be doing blood group, genotype, and all those things that are always stable. I can just write to them and say, do this. But like I said, they are mostly untested provisions of the act. I hope I'm able to answer that question.
Thank you, Martin. I'm going to test it on major street to Port Harcourt. All my mom's history. Let me see how. Let's test on the government hospital first of all, because you know I have to create 2 files there because my card was missing, and they said without the card they won't give me my file. I have to open on that file. So I have 2 files. My mom has 2 files there too. You know that in that same hospital. So we can test the act of the army man. Thank you.
All right. Are you speaking?
Yeah, Steve Bonley has network issues.
Yes, am I the only one? Okay.
So before she continues, we have anybody on the call that has a question to ask? If you're on the call, you can ask the direct questions too. I think it is probably continuous. Anybody, just unmute yourself and ask your question, please, as we wind up. By 9 p.m., we're out of here. Anyone have any questions to ask on the call? This is the time to do so, please. So Martin, we have existing certifications already available for this data protection in Nigeria or online. Any existing one available?
Yes, but not domestic, not a domestic one that I know of. We have the mother of them all, which is the CIPA. Is it CIPA now? Let me check.
That is we need that because we need to start making before the next 6 months. Let's make actionable plans. You know, because you know one thing that some people come to my WhatsApp to ask for some job offers I put, and these guys have been working for many years. And when I see kind of job they ask for, I'm like, I mean, things are changing. we can start changing and moving to this area. I used to LinkedIn, I see a lot of job offers. I see a lot of job offers. Last week, an HR of the company, I messaged on LinkedIn through inbox, asking for my CV, for one role they have. And these job roles are very funny. The way they will work, the roles are very funny, and I think if you look at it critically, you can do it. So I think if we have such links to, certifications, courses you can do, either paid or free courses or anything you can do online to start, being in that position, I think it will help us a lot to improve.
Yes, yes. Another thing again is I was actually searching for one job role that somebody sent to me. If I tell you the money, the truth is that the easy jobs right now are the one paying the most. Gone are the days where we have to sweat out our lives out. Now, apart from the money aspect, this is really where life tends to be going now. People imagine that protecting individuals' privacy. We're not talking of protecting of course, protecting your privacy is tantamount to protecting your life, because once your privacy is exposed, there is a tendency for attack. There's tendency for risk to life. So that privacy is what everyone is talking about. As I'm talking to you now, any country that does not have a legislation or any provision in their law that protects privacy, we are not allowed to do business with that country.
So Martin, even sorry, Martin, I'll just read something. I read something a little bit on Thread, this new Meta, that new app Thread.
Yes.
I don't know if it's now in Europe. I heard that in Europe they've not allowed it to come because of privacy issues. They're still agreeing with data privacy issues first of all. When they are done with the agreement, they're not allowed it to come. So I'm wondering, most of these apps that we use in Nigeria, to what extent are executive authorities look at those apps before they are allowed to come into the country? Because I know in Europe, as of last 3 or 4 days, I said, we've not started using Thread. I don't know about me, but when I checked last, they're not using Thread yet. So to what extent do they have to check these apps before they come to the country? Over.
Yes, unfortunately for us here, those things are not done. Even if it is done, the effects are not being felt. You can imagine, thank God you are the one saying it now. The entire Europe, we are not talking of one country, the entire Europe. And that is why, because Europe comes as a body when it comes to data protection. That is the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation. It's a general thing. So it is not about the smallest country in Europe. It is not about the biggest country. In as much as it has to do with data privacy, it has to do with GDPR, and they are the one to vet that you are complying. And if there is also a breach, the GDPR regulation is enough, which has been domesticated in each country, is enough to sanction you. You have heard of fines being paid by Facebook and all that in UK and countries around Europe. Another problem we are having very recently is in the US, where they don't have a single data protection law or regulation. Rather, you have New York, you have that state that trust them how to do their thing. Everybody have the siloed kind of regulation. So, particularly as it has to do with Nigeria, we have not paid attention to those things. Anybody creates. In fact, Nigeria is the first market it begins from. I was reading on Twitter some time ago when somebody said that Thread will be the first to hit the first 100 million. Is it 100 million or 1 million before ChatGPT? I was like, that first 1 million or 100 million will begin with Nigeria, because practically everybody is there now. And not that, and you know what? Most of these people are not going there to use it. They will just open it. I want to go and see what it looks like. Forgetting that immediately you open an account, you have your metadata stored in that platform forever.
Much is that most of us in Nigeria, we're used to what they call it, comedy. We don't concern with that for comedy, content creation. We don't look at, because I remember one day, that was some years back, I went on Facebook, settings. I began to try to look at my offline presence. You know, one day, I don't know what happened. It was like magic. I went to check something in the store. You know, immediately I left that store, you know, went on Facebook. I said,
Can anybody hear, Uman?
hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you now.
Yes.
So I was saying that you said about trade, about trade and people opportunity trade. Most of us are on trade just for social media, for comedy, content creation. We forget about our own online presence, offline online presence. Remember, I went to Facebook one time to check. I realized that if I go to a store, sometimes maybe offline, I come to Facebook, I will see adverts from that kind of photos in my Facebook timeline. You know, means that somebody is monitoring my activities, whether online,
Exactly.
whether offline. At the point, Google gives me my travel itinerary for the past once a year. All the airports I went to Nigeria that year, Google gives me a list of all my check-ins. You know, the hotels I stayed in that year was crazy for me. I was just traveling for work, you know, going to the north, you know, to the south, you know. So Google gave me the list of my travel itinerary for the whole 1 year. The hotels I stayed, the airports I went to, you know. So
Okay.
it's crazy. And what happens? But like I said, in Nigeria, we don't actually look at implications. We just jump into these social media platforms and begin to use it without checking what are they, I mean, how did they make money in the first place? So that's just my own contribution. Over.
Yes, yes. Another thing again, sad enough, do you know that I've had this encounter? I don't know how many of us have had the encounter. I have my phone with me. I spoke with somebody. I said, my association gave me not AWS, Amazon Dot. My association gave me Amazon Dot, which is this Alexa. Only for me to find out it does not work in Nigeria. So I was discussing with someone. I say, how can I even use this Alexa in Nigeria? In fact, can I even dash somebody? The thing was, what about $300? They just sent it to me. I was happy. Very fine. But when I now downloaded the app, they say, this app is not available in your country. I said, okay. Do you know that about few days after, I opened Jumia to check something. The next thing I saw was that you might be interested in this. I was now checking. I was now seeing that Amazon Dot. I was like, I could not have searched for Amazon Dot on Jumia. Now, can I tell you this? Most of the times when we see those apps, we say enable mic, yes. Enable location, yes. Enable access to location, yes. Enable access to mic, yes. As you are talking, even offline and online, these devices or these applications listen, particularly on YouTube or Google. The sites you visit most or the words you mention most, immediately you come to YouTube, that is the first thing they will suggest to you as an outlet. I don't know how many of us have experienced, but I have on Jumia and Google, most especially. I've had that experience. I was like, wow, that means you have to. So that is why when immediately I went to my app, I disabled the voice immediately. I went to all the app that I gave access to my voice. I disabled them. Let me know the one that is worrying me. So most of the time we don't read these privacy statements. We just accept them and then we move on. We move. So sometimes we have to check those things and find out what they really mean. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bolanle, are you back? You can just conclude the meeting. We are rounding off now. 7 minutes to go. Hello.
Okay, before she comes up, I have the certification now opened.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so number one, I have the CIPP, which is the Certified Information Privacy Professional. We have the /E, which is Europe. And for those of us who are very eager or hungry to go to the Europe, I must tell you that this is a very virgin career field that they are begging people with money in their mouth to come and do data protection. I'm not saying it for free. I'm saying it, you can go to the internet and search for yourself. Data protection, data privacy rules in Europe, data privacy rules in anywhere in the US. These people are, the enormity of the work to protect data is hitting everybody. It's coming like a surge, like a tsunami. Everybody is facing it and it's hitting everybody. So one of the certification is the CIPP. If you intend to function in Europe for long or more, you have to go for the E version, which is CIPPE. Then there is this Certified Information Privacy Manager, CIPM, which is still by the same organization, which is a IAPP. Then we have the Certified Information Privacy Technologist. This one, you will be a bit advanced into technology. For these are basically the implementers of the data privacy, not interpreters like us. They are the implementers.
Sorry,
if
Martin,
you say,
sorry, is it by IFACA?
No. ISACA has its own. This one is IAPP. I want to get their name. IAPP is the foremost organization when it has to do with data privacy. It's called International Association of Privacy Professionals. They are the one organizing this very expensive certification, but I must tell you that it is very, very easy. As you see, this is our Nigerian law. The version of our Nigerian law, read it, have it in the tip of your finger. Get the GDPR, read it, have it on the tip of your finger. Get yourself up to date with some happenings around data privacy in Europe and all that. Please go for this exam. Most of the times you think this exam are difficult, but then if you can, I believe all of us here are either having our ICANN or we have gone deep into ICANN. That is the most difficult exam you can write. So this one is as easy as if you can write ICANN and pass, my dear, this exam is just at your mercy to write. And when you write them, because I used to tell people, it's not about, we are not in the era of certificates. Yeah, certificate proves what you know. What you know is there. Certificate proves what you know. I want to give you my life story. I'm an accountant. Quite a number of us here are my schoolmates and my seniors in school. I discovered that my challenge, I am interested in cybersecurity and data privacy and protection. I discovered that I will have a challenge competing with those who claim they are IT professionals. I just told myself, so somebody, my advisor, my professional advisor asked me, he said, the only way for you to distinguish yourself is to write those certification exams that they write. So I struggled with it. I put in about 4 years effort and I sat for the first one, I had it. Do you know that today, the role that I play in the cybersecurity, if you like, have master's degree in cybersecurity, you will not have that role until you have certification. So the same thing plays in this privacy protection issue. For you to be recognized in Nigeria and be given more jobs, you must have these privacy certifications. It will give you a very long, it's just like somebody wanted to start a race. Somebody's 100-meter race, somebody's already 80 meters ahead. That is what certification role will play for you. So ISACA has its own called Certified Data Privacy Solution Engineer. That was my last certification that I did last year. That certification is just about 3 domains. It helps you to factor in the human aspect of data protection, technology aspect of data protection, and the regulatory aspect of data. Just 3 domains, less than 270 pages of textbook. You read it and you are up for it. Very highly recommended certification. Immediately you do it, it's not like, of course, with God on your side, just step into the LinkedIn, particularly those of us who are interested in going to Europe or you are in Europe already. This is a very low-hanging fruit for you to tap in. So those are the 4 certifications I've mentioned: CIPPE, CIPM, CIPT, and then CDPSE, which is where I belong, Certified Data Privacy Solution Engineer. So that makes you an engineer by adoption.
Yeah, thank you. Can you share this? I've shared 2 already on the WhatsApp group for Account Solution. Can you share the other 2? I've shared the link for the 2 so that we can start, because I'm interested in doing something different from accounting. I'm not tired of accounting. So I need to move. Yeah, I need to move. All right, so Bolan, are you back? Now to round up is a minute to 9 p.m. Do you have a concluding remarks, Bolanle? Everybody on the call, any more questions? This is the final chance for any questions, before we conclude tonight. Bolanle, are you there? Anybody else want to make a contribution, suggestions? Next week we're having George come on Forex, discussing the floating naira, the exchange rate issue, USD issues across Africa, how going to start affecting us businesses. Let's come next week, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. as usual. I'm going to meet George, who is an investment manager in ARM. No, is it ARM now? Yeah, that's ARM. Somewhere EcoBank. Yeah, I think EcoBank now. Left ARM to EcoBank. So let's come next Sunday. If there are no questions, again, we want to thank Martins for this session.
I have a contribution.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
All right, Oga Martins, thank you very much for this opportunity. Life is all about the doors. Unless somebody tells you the door is open, you never know it. So personally, I want to say thank you. Thank you very much. I know I've spoken with you about Caesar like 2 years ago. But I didn't start it or take the opportunity. But like Umar, I think we moved. So thank you very much. At least you're ahead there to pull us up if we have any questions. So I want to also say thank you, my prof for life. Thank you very much. Mega blessings. You don't understand. Martin is my prof. Thank you very much. And on behalf of the house and on behalf of everybody here, I want to say thank you and more greater heights ahead, because as you go up there, we know we have a forerunner and we're glad for it. Thank you very much, Martin.
I am very grateful. Thank you a lot.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming. Take out from today's meeting is whatever you want to start doing, start now. Don't procrastinate. At least go and fill the form online. Go and fill the form. If it's time to pay, you can put it on your wait list or on your, what do you call it again? Check out basket. But just go and make effort. Pay for that course. Try and start studying and see how you can transfer your current skills to this data protection career. And whatever you want to do, start now. God bless us all. Do have a very productive week ahead. See you next Sunday. Share the link, invite somebody, and join us next Sunday on the exchange rate and USD floating. Thank you, everyone, and God bless. Enjoy your week.
I'm grateful. Thank you for having me.